Hello, welcome to Bradley's Maths. This video is the first of two videos supporting worksheet number 1.2, Squares and Cubes, which can be found in the number section of my website, www.bradleysmaths.co.uk. Okay, let's get straight into the video. What is a square number? A square number is quite simply a natural number which has an integer square root. That's all there is to it. A natural number which has an integer square root. What is a square root then? A square root is a number that produces a specified quantity when multiplied by itself. So if we said we have the number 2 and it's multiplied by itself, so it would be 2 times 2, that would give us 4, and so 2 is the square root of 4. Okay, so far so good. What is a cube number then? Well, a cube number, again, is an integer. I say again is an integer. Remember, a square number is a natural number, but a cube number is an integer that is produced by multiplying another integer by itself 3 times. Okay, slight difference here, because if we take the number -2 and multiply it by itself 3 times, we get -2 times -2 is +4, and -2 times +4 is -8. So -8 is a cube number, okay, because it's produced by multiplying -2 by itself 3 times. So what is a square root? Well, you should be able to guess this one for yourself. A square root is a number which produces a specified quantity when multiplied by itself 3 times. And that's all there is to what square numbers, square roots, cube numbers, and cube roots are. Okay, let's move on. Oops, that's gone too far. Let's move on to here. Roots and principal values. Okay. 6 times 6 equals 36. So it's fairly reasonable to say that the square root of 36 equals 6. And this is true. But let's just have a look at this. -6 times -6 also equals 36. So root 36 must equal -6. And what we say is that root 36 equals plus or minus 6. Plus or minus 6. Okay. So what do you give as an answer? Do you always give plus or minus 6? Well, there are times when the -6 there doesn't actually exist. For instance, a length cannot be -6 centimeters. So no, you don't always give plus or minus 6. The principal value of a square root is always taken to be the positive square root. The principal value of root 36 then is 6. And it depends on the question, on where you are. In terms of number work, generally you are looking for the principal value of the square root. So root 36 in number work will be 6. In algebra, it might well be different, but we'll talk about that in the algebra section. Okay, let's move on. The exam boards do require you to know some squares and their principal roots and some cubes and their principal roots without using a calculator, and they I've put may test, but I would say will test this on the non-calculator paper. They won't ask you what is the square root of 36, but they'll have a question that has a square root somewhere embedded in it, and it will be a square root that you're expected to know. So which square roots are you expected to know? Okay, these are the roots you're expected to know. The square root of, you're expected to know that these numbers are the square root of the following square numbers. So let's stick with yellow. 1 squared is 1. So the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2, because 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9, so the square root of 9 is 3. 4 squared is 16, so the square root of 16 is 4. 5 squared is 25, so the square root of 25 is 5. 6 squared is 36, so the square root of 36 is 6. 7 squared is 49, so the square root of 49, sorry, is 7. 8 squared is 64, so the square root of 64 is 8. 9 squared is 81, so the square root of 81 is 9. 10 squared is 100, so the square root of 100 is 10. 11 squared is 121, so the square root of 121 is 11. 12 squared is 144, so the square root of 144 is 12. 13 squared is 169, so the square root of 169 is 13. 14 squared is 196. And that 1 is a bit odd there, isn't it? But never mind, we'll leave it in. There you go, just fill it in like that, that's better. 196, the square root of 196 is 14. And 15 squared is 225. So the square root of 225 is 15. And you are expected by the exam boards to know all of these for a non-calculator paper. So these numbers just have to be there in your head. Okay. And then we come to the cubes and the cube roots. It's interesting. Where did that come from? Let me just rub that little bit of a line out there. So 1 cubed is 1. So the cube root of 1 is 1. 2 cubed is 8. So the cube root of 8 is 2. 3 cubed is 27. So the cube root of 27 is 3. 4 cubed is 64. So the cube root of 64 is 4. And 5 cubed is 125. So the cube root of 125 is 5. And the other one that you have to know is 10. 10 cubed is 1000. So the cube root of 1000 is 10, and that's our cubes and cube roots that you must know sorted for you. Okay? And don't be fooled. Please do not be fooled. These are really important. Every positive number, not just the natural numbers, has both a positive and a negative square root. So, for instance, the square root of 6.25 is 2.5. That's just one that I happen to know. I don't know many of them, but that is one of them. Okay. No negative numbers have a square root. The square root of -2 does not exist. Mathematicians have a way around this, but you'll learn about that when you do A-level maths. At the moment, you don't need to know the way around it, but you do need to know that the square root of -2 does not exist. And finally, every number, positive or negative, integer, fraction, or decimal, has a cube root. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I hope the video was useful for you. Please like and subscribe, and please visit my website www.bradleysmaths.co.uk for more of my worksheets. Bye!